All right, and we're back.
Yeah, we're back during all of this. Lots happened. When we talked about coming to America and how trash that movie was,
First of all, it wasn't. Let's not say it was trash.
that
Let's
movie was
just say
trash.
it was on par with the original.
That's my opinion. It was not on par. So you think the original was trash?
No, I don't think I think that was look, as far as Eddie Murphy movies go, my favorite is Harlem Nights. All
It
right.
is.
I also think that, as things go, like if you go back and read the reviews for Coming to America in the beginning, they weren't high.
Yeah,
Granted, it was white people reviewing. It is
yeah.
what it is. But over time, it kind of became a cult classic. I don't think they would have ever, like, that movie was not for us. Like, the funny thing is, because I went to school, the kids, my students liked Coming to America. Like, they liked part two.
I
And so I
understand.
was like, so it was really more of an introduction to that. Like, I get it if you didn't like it, but there are a lot of rehashes and stuff. I saw Coming to America. I liked it. I saw Superman, the 4 hour cut. I liked it when I rewatched it the second time because I kept falling asleep the first time. 4 hours is too
I
long for
wasn't gonna
me.
watch that.
It's
I'm not
great.
gonna watch it straight through.
It's
I
great.
can
It
tell
was a
you that
great
much.
film. It was a great film.
Four
But then
hours for a movie?
look, I mean, it should have been two 2 hour movies, but it is what it
That's
is.
what I'm saying, man. I'm not gonna watch it straight
That's
through.
not, you don't like movies.
I don't. I don't like a
Okay,
lot.
so we can't be the judge. Like, you don't like to sit in one place for a long time. So let's not,
No, not at all. I can't stand that.
But speaking of sitting in one place for a long time, how'd you like the Gas Guys concert?
It was really awesome. I sat in
Yeah, I'm
one
saying
place.
sitting because they had seats. That is, White Oak is the best way. Look, I've been to many concerts at White Oak. I'm old. Putting chairs out there where you can sit down,
Bruh,
how I view a concert.
it was great. It
It was
was it
great.
was an awesome concert. The lineup was cool. The sections was dope. When Les came out and was like, "Oh, this is weird. Y'all in sections like the club." Like I was like, "Yo, I can understand." Not
I could
performing.
understand the artist not wanting to have it like that because you're like when Maxo came out, you're
Yeah,
like, I know you want people to jump up and down and everybody's just sitting. So I can
yeah,
understand an artist being like, yeah, but I want people. Because when Larry June came out, everybody ran up to the front.
yeah. That's true.
No more
I'm a
social.
big fan of the sitting though, so that's why I liked it. Because I always talk about in concerts. I'll be like, I like concerts, but I like being in certain areas because like I don't care who it is. Like when we went to that Wu Tang concert, you and I both love Wu Tang. I'm trying to sit there and enjoy the show. I don't need to stand up and yell all 95 verses of Triumph. That's just not where I'm at. Like you
Because
don't
you're
have to
getting
do
old.
that.
It's
But
because
if you want to do that, hey, that's cool. The people I was with, boy Drew, thanks a lot, man. He invited me to the concert. It was great. He was standing up the whole time. Leah was with me, standing up the whole time. Claire was with me. I was sitting. I was
yeah,
sitting,
I saw.
but
I saw when I walked by occasionally.
I
So
know. But I had a lot of things with me though. It was a Gas Gods concert, you can imagine. But the whole thing was
I don't know what
good.
you're talking about.
I
I don't know what you're talking about.
don't know what you're
I
talking
am
about.
a teacher. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But
It was good though. It was good. Everything that we're talking about is black excellence. Oh, yeah, you see it. Black and ugly as ever. Ever I stay Houston down to my socks. Welcome to another episode of In My Humble Opinion podcast, where the opinions are humbled and the words, they're not jumbled. All right, I'm your host, Avery, like a very nice guy, also known as Avery Zadius on Instagram and Twitter and all that other stuff, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for taking your time out for checking this out. And I'm also here with my brother, my blood brother,
yeah, blood
Just
brother.
Devon.
Just Devon. That's not my
Yeah,
first name.
Just Devon.
Just Devon.
And you could find him as Just Devon on Twitter and also Dr. Douglas on IG until we get it to be Just Devon. Y'all know the story. We've covered that. And you could also find us on My Humble O on everything Twitter, Instagram, whatever, and In My Humble Opinion podcast, specifically on YouTube. Yes, we are on the YouTubes. That's what I like to watch. I like to watch myself because I'm vain. Because it's all entertainment, guys. And we all love entertainment. And whether it's your favorite YouTuber doing the next challenge or listening to a playlist on Spotify, we here at In My Humble Opinion have the fortune of being around mostly entertainers, and it may look easy for what they do, but I can tell you it's an extremely hard job. Take Maxo Kream for example. Do you really believe that he's solely responsible for his social media output, his clothing choices, etc., going from show to show, things of that nature? No, no, he needs a team. That's what you need, people. A team if you're going to be in entertainment. All right, he needs somebody to assist him to get through all these things. These are there are so many countless people that are behind the scenes that are really helping artists get out there and be great. That brings us to today's guest. All right, from social media account coordinating to working with the most popular artists on the planet, she's definitely on her way to the top, everybody. Kellyn McKay.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, what's
going
on,
y'all?
How's it going?
Okay, Avery, we already have two things in common. One, I hate movies because I can't sit down for too long. And I was also at the Gas God show. That was obviously my first time at a show since everything's like shut down. And I just, man, boy, did I feel back at home. I was like, this is my element, because I'm used to like multiple shows a week to going to none. So that was just, man, I was like, whew, this is the
What was a great show to sit there.
I was about to say, what did you think of the overall show? How did you like getting back out?
So I went with my boy Les, who performed. Maxo was on the bill too, but I went with Les just because he'd been like, you can come. Like every time he has shows, I'm either out of town or something, and I always miss him. And we've been friends for years, and that was my first time ever seeing him perform ever. Literally, like the other day. Les and I've been friends. I'm 26 now. We met when I was like 18. So it's my first time ever seeing him perform. And the show was amazing. I mean, obviously Maxo killed it, like usual, because he's a character and he's got the stage presence. It was great to see Les perform because I know him as like Lester, but it's seeing his rap.
Wow.
He won't even care I said that, but yeah, seeing him like on stage performing and just seeing that the reaction was like super dope. Yeah. And I'm actually, so I don't know much about Larry June. Like everybody that is around me absolutely loves him to death. They're like, Larry June is so fine.
Larry.
Yeah, no, they be saying all the little catchphrases and shit. I'm like, okay, cool. But I mean, maybe because I don't smoke, I can't really like fully get into it. I think it's dope, but it's just not for me. But I really enjoyed actually watching him perform. I was like, okay, I can get behind this.
It's funny. Avery and I were talking about that because I started listening to Larry June like a week and a half ago, just so I can be like, what? Because every rapper that we ran, like, oh, Larry June, like Larry June, the one. I was like,
like literally every artist that I know are the ones. It's my friends too, but like artists, like managers, everybody in entertainment's like, Larry June. I'm like, all right, I watched a couple YouTube videos and I would try to like listen to it, and I'm like, I can't catch on. But then what's the song 91? The one who says, I like that one. 91. Okay, I like that one. Yep. And then there's a couple other, but I think it'll give me I need a little more time to catch on. But he's definitely dope. And it was dope to see like everybody just rushed to the front when he came on. I was like, okay, he's definitely. And I actually met him, I guess you would say 2 weekends ago at Freddie Gibbs's, we went to the label Grammy party. And he was there, and like that was my first time having interaction with him, and he was super nice, like super sweet, like really dope. So I definitely am gonna give the music way more of a chance now.
Heck yeah.
And it's funny, we compared this current rise to like a Fred. I mean, it's the way Freddie kind of came up. They don't have the same rapping style or anything like that, but there was a point where it was like industry people and rappers were like, yo, Freddie Gibbs, before your friends that didn't really listen, like it takes a while to bubble up. And so that was the thing where I was like, oh, I'm like, dog, everybody just keeps like, yo, you got to listen to Larry June. Like, you have to listen to Larry June. I was like, all right, I'm going to give it a shot. So I just started listening last week. I like the concert. I like June did great. Maxo did great. We said before, Les and Big Jade, I thought had really great stage presence?
So I showed up when Big Jade was, I guess she was on like her last song or something, and I'm like trying to rush through the backstage to get in because Les is like, girl, where you at? You were taking too long. I'm like, okay. So I'm like running, and I heard a girl's voice, but I didn't remember seeing her on the flyer. So as soon as I got in, I kind of tried to run up there and like see who it was, and I seen like, you know, that the crowd was really rocking with it. And then I asked somebody later, I was like, who's that girl that performed? They were like, man, they were like, I just heard of her for the first time today, but she was super dope. They were like, I'm going to download all her stuff. Like, she was amazing. So for sure, that's somebody else who I need to check more into because I hadn't really heard much about her.
She really came in and made like a great impression. And that's always big for like an artist that is, you know, you're coming out, people don't necessarily know. But I want to say she opened up with a video, and that grabbed people like immediately. Yeah. Like it was
really?
like, yeah, it was like a video.
Like an arena show.
You said what now?
It was like an arena show, you know, when people like, when you go to an arena show and they have like a video that leads you into the next song, like it's exactly what she did. She was at at a guy's house, and then his girlfriend came home, and then she walks to the camera and she's like, I'm not supposed to be here. I got a show to do. And then she comes out and does the show.
That's super cool.
Yeah,
awesome. That's so hard.
Yeah, as soon as she walked out on stage, it was like over. Like after that intro, it was like, oh, okay. Everybody's like, who is this?
Everybody's invested at that point.
Yeah, she did fantastic. But we're not here to talk about just them. I mean, of course, we brought up Maxo, and we only don't want to just talk about Maxo. No. You talked about Les, your connections. We honestly just want to talk about you, Kellyn. So
yeah, we can do that as well. Also, can I drink my wine during this? Because I have had a wine.
It's illegal.
We're not on the network or anything like that.
Right now, I'm like, I'm legal now. I'm just making sure.
What are you talking about? Just drink.
Yeah, you're fine. They're not going to shut us down or anything like that.
You didn't have to say what it was. It could have been water.
The only person that might get upset is our mom, who occasionally watches this show, like occasionally.
Hey, Ma, I had a long day. She got to forgive me. My mom poured it up for me because I'm here visiting her, so I had to do it.
It's all right. Our mom's a hypocrite. Like, she says she don't like people drinking, but she drink wine. So, you know. If
you be like that. Don't be like me. Be better than me. Is what
don't fuel the fire. Don't fuel the flames.
So, I think first the best thing to do is let the audience know what you do, because for somebody that's very well known and is in a lot of different circles, you're not like easily Googleable. Googleable. There you go.
We know what
I don't know if that's by design or not, but it's like you just have to know who you are to know who you are.
Right. So, if you know, you know.
So yeah, please though, for the people that don't know, tell us what is your title?
I really always have a problem figuring out the best way to say this. I swear to you, this is like my fourth like podcast of the last 7 days or interview or whatever. And I'm just like, each time I'm like, what am I like? Who am I? But honestly, the best way to put it, I'm kind of like a Swiss Army knife, if you think about it. So I have experience in everything from marketing, digital marketing, PR, management, event coordination, all of those things. But as of right now, I basically focus on brand partnerships, brand strategy, a little bit of management, and also influencer marketing. Yeah, but I mean, being at Stomp Down, you know, we are a small management company based out of Houston, Texas, with artists like Maxo and Reggie and a few others. And when you're at a company that small, only about 5 or 6 people, you know, everybody has to do pretty much everything. You pull your own weight. You know what I'm saying? And you have to step up to the plate. If there's anything that's needed, it's not kind of like, oh, well, that's not my responsibility. I'm too big for that. You know, it's kind of like, it's for the greater good. You got to get your shit together and rock out. So I pretty much do everything. I'm like the support for Toby and Ezra, who are the CEOs of the company. And, but yeah, I do everything for a lot of things for the artists at Stomp Down, but then I also do other things for other labels, like the influencer marketing that I said. And also just, you know, I know a lot of people in the music industry. So when people need something in Houston or Texas or just anywhere in general, they're like, girl, I need to set up a photo shoot in Atlanta in like 3 days. Can you find me a hairdresser, a makeup artist, a photographer, a venue, and everything? And I'm like, okay, and I do it like that. So yeah, that's the kind of the best way to put it. Swiss Army knife.
I mean, I would say for, I guess, our guests or people like, not our guests, people listening, because the only person I could compare you to that people might know would be like a Steve Stout or something like that, where it's like, oh, okay, you do everything. Like, oh, you
Yeah.
can talk to her and like she can figure out what. I would see you, I think maybe when Clubhouse first started, I there was a room where it was you and it was Yaya in the city talking about what you guys do.
Bestie.
You said what?
I said my bestie.
Exactly. And it was like, but I think the biggest thing about that is, and why we wanted to have you on is, there are so many people that say they want to do this and say they want to get in entertainment, but they also just don't know the right people or don't know the people to even look at, or they're not doing the research or whatever. And I'm like, these two obviously are doing stuff. So why? Yeah. So
Yaya and I are very similar, and like we have always been like this. We met a long time ago too. We actually met through Karen Civil, and it's so funny. Like people are always like, y'all are like the same person, but we're just in different markets. You know, she dabbles in the urban market, but you know, she's more in like the Latin regional Mexican music. But we're very similar in the same ways that like we've done so much that people don't know about. We hate talking about ourselves. We hate talking about things that we do. Like every time somebody asks me that, it's just like I cringe because I'm like, I feel like I'm just like, I don't know. I've always been like that. Like there are people that I've known for years that have no idea what I do. Like people are just like, oh, I just never thought you had a job. I thought you just like knew people, and I just thought you floated around. Like, they're just. I used to see you in the club all the time, not knowing like. I used to like intern for a DJ. Like you know what I'm saying? Like there's literally so much stuff that I've done. I just never talked about because I'm not like that. And Yaya's the same way. So we know each other because we talk to each other. We've had to coordinate with each other on a lot of things. We have a lot of the same like industry friends. So when people come in town or they need help with something, you know, they'll kind of hit up like, Kellyn, Yaya, can y'all figure this out for me? And then we do it together. So we know each other and what each other's done. But everybody else is like, I don't know what you two hoes do. Like y'all just be random, like in the spot, and then they see you with everybody, and they're like, "How does this make sense?" And I'm just like, "If you know, you know. That's the best. It's the best way to do it."
Our thing, because we would see guests and artists like past guests on this show or past. I mean, like I know for Yaya, we had Doman Dine on here, and he would be like, "Yo, you got to talk to
I love Doman. He's such a sweetheart. Him and his manager Hobbs are like, so we're all. We have a group chat. It's me, Yaya, Hobbs, who's Doe's manager. You know, he's the programming manager at South by. Edward, who runs all the brand partnerships and everything for Scoremore. Edward Castillo, shout out to him. And then Payne, who is Tory Lanez's former manager. But you know, he's also like a brand partnerships and management expert, and we talk about everything all day, like everything music related, anything that drops. We all like, we're like a little hub. Like we consult with each other. If one of us needs anything, we're like, yo, you know somebody? I could be like, yo, do one of y'all know somebody in Guatemala who can like dress? And like Hobbs would be like, hold on, check your email in 5 minutes, and he's like connecting me to somebody. But we've created such a crazy ecosystem, like with each other, we really can figure anything out in a second.
That's dope. Now, I mean, the other thing too is like the idea of getting into entertainment in general. You come by it honestly, like you come from this. Let's talk about going back, like as a child. At what point were you like, you know what, I want to be me? I don't know how to say. I want to be the Swiss Army knife in the entertainment industry. How does one get started off just in that general path?
So I always knew I wanted to be in music because both of my parents worked in radio growing up. My mom still does. My dad is retired, but you know, both of them worked in radio for 30 plus years. And so growing up, I was always the kid that I was like at Slim Thug's music video shoots, and because you know at the time my dad was at Magic in the Box, so I would be at all the car shows. Like I was everywhere. Like literally, I was the kid that like kids would be like, what? Like, make this make sense, because I'm coming to school with like an autograph from Beyonce or something. And they're just like, huh, like, this is crazy. But yeah, so I always knew I wanted to be in music. I just never knew what I wanted to do. You know, I was coming up and like, I always knew like people at labels and stuff, and then they would just be like, okay, so what do you want to do? And I'd be like, I want to work in music. And they're like, okay, but like, what do you want to do? So I was in high school. My senior year, I interned at a Grammy office, and I kind of just tried to like pick up and try to figure out, you know, what I wanted to do. When I decided, you know, I was going to go to school for communications, I went to U of H, go Cougs. And I did not finish though, but you know, that's neither here nor there. But I was like really going through a phase, like when I was in college, I started working in radio too. I thought that's what I wanted to do, just, you know, because it was like, okay, my parents did this, you know, I'm comfortable with it. I know a lot of people, maybe this is my thing. And I was doing promotions and digital content. So I was going to shows, capturing stuff, and it just made sense because I was always at the shows anyway. So they were like, okay, you know, let's just make this a job. So I would go to shows, grab the content, and, you know, make posts and stuff. And while I was doing that in college, I kind of decided, so I had honed in on the fact that I wanted to do PR. I thought, you know, that's like the sociable job. And it's like, okay, you know, I want to do PR. And I was, that was going to be my emphasis in school. And I remember it was right before one summer, I think this was 2017. It was right before one summer, and my mom was like, you should apply for some internships, like, you know, in LA or New York, and see, you know, if you get anything, and if you do, we'll figure it out. I'm like, okay. So I applied for a bunch of internships, and nothing was really coming back until one day randomly I get an email from a lady from an internship that had already turned me down, because they were like, oh, you're not already in LA, so we don't want you. And so I ended up getting an email back, and the lady's like, I'm sorry, I don't know who told you that, but that's ridiculous. If you can get here to LA and you can pay for your way to live, like, we want you to be here. Can you be here in 3 days?
Oh, wow.
I'm like, what? Yeah. I called my mom, mind you, so I'm already like the day before too, I'm already stressed out because I had a final. I was headed to the library. I put like my MacBook, my water bottle, I'm throwing everything in there. I get to the library and my water bottle had unscrewed and flooded out my whole MacBook with all of my shit on it for my finals, right? So
Apple Care don't take care of that.
I don't. So I'm already like damn near losing my shit. I'm freaking out. Like, I've already told my parents, I'm like, I can't, like, I'm just like melting down fully. I get an email from this lady and she's like, yo, we want you, can you be here in 3 days? She's a publicist for like everybody at this point, Future, Chris Brown. And I'm like, okay, this is my time. If I miss this, like, there's just no way. But I called my parents and I was like, yeah, I mean, the lady like hit me back and she wants me to be there in 3 days, but like, I have to have my own computer and I have to be in LA and da-da-da. My parents were like, if you can find a place to live in LA and you can figure out like everything about getting yourself there, we will buy you a new laptop and we will make sure that, you know, we help you with rent. Just like make it happen. No. I tell you, literally, I've never moved so fast in my life. My parents ended up like paying for me to get out of my apartment early. And I packed up my whole house in my car. At the time I was driving like this little Lexus. Whatever I couldn't fit, I sold, or I left with my roommate. I put everything in my car and I drove my ass to LA by myself. It was like 27 hours and with a brand new laptop with nothing on it. Like, I literally was just like, and I was still gonna have to figure out my finals and everything, like finish all that, the ones that I had online. And I literally was just like, you know what, fuck it. And I drove to LA by myself and started my internship literally the next day while trying to also do my finals, with redo all my papers and everything. Oh, wow. And yeah, and while I was in LA, I ended up, I had gone to Toby, you know, Maxo's manager. He went to U of H as well. And, you know, he talked about it when we were at school. We used to hang out sometimes and he'd be like, yeah, you know, I'm managing like, you know, my friend Maxo. And I'm like, oh, okay. And, you know, I met Maxo at a couple of parties, but, you know, I was just like, all right, you know. And around that time, Maxo was going to do his first show in LA. And Toby reached out and was like, hey, I know you're like at a PR firm. We need like some looks. We need, you know, some help getting a little, you know, more tickets sold. We need some, you know, writers to come out and everything. And I was like, all right, you know, I got some spare time. Like, I can just use my contacts from this and just, you know, do some stuff for you. So I ended up doing that. The show was a success. Everybody came out. But LA was not for me. I was like miserable out there. I was crying. I had no friends at the time. I only had like one friend. Yeah, I was like sad. And I'm just like, I'm super close to like my friends and family. So I was just kind of like melting down, like dying out there. I ended up calling my dad and being like, I can't do this. Can you get on the first flight out, drive me back to Houston? Like I'm literally losing it. He was like, all right. But once I got back, I told my parents, I was like, I don't want to go back to school. And they were like, excuse me? After all this money we wouldn't pay for these years, like what? And I was like, yeah, I was like, I realized like I don't need to finish school to do what I want to do. Like I literally have it, like it's here. I don't need to go back. And obviously that did not go well. That caused a bit of a rift. It was a little crazy. So that was like a whole battle in itself. And I was just kind of going through like a phase of like, I don't know what I want to do. Because my parents were like, okay, so when you going to get a job? Like you don't know what you want to do yet. Like you're not even specific about what you want to do. So where we go from here? And I kind of went to Toby and I was like, hey, I was like, yeah, I actually decided like I want to drop out too. I don't know what I want to do. I'm not going back to school, but I need a job. And like he was just like, well, I don't understand why you don't like come get down. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm creating a company. Like it's called Stomp Down. He's like, I don't really have a lot figured out yet, but why don't you just come get down and we'll figure it out together? And I was like, all right, fuck it. I didn't have shit else to do. I'm not going to school. My parents are like, you got us fucked up. So yeah, so at this point I'm like, all right, you know, whatever. So I'm like thugging it out, like literally me and Toby are just trying to make this work. Like we're basically all of this stuff has been done by like just winging it. Me, him, Ezra, everybody. It's just like we've literally been winging it. And it's been so successful. And, you know, Toby and Ezra, they're geniuses and they've like definitely helped me figure out more exactly what my strengths were and, you know, figure out where I needed to be and what I wanted to do specifically. But that's pretty much how I ended up where I am, just literally winging it and deciding I was going to drop out of college and helping out a friend one day because he needed help with an artist that he was working with. And now we're here.
This is like the junior storyline on Blackish. Like,
right?
Like, no, this is, you know, the other thing that's really dope about it is I love the whole idea of winging it. Like, we're going to work. We're just going to figure this thing out because also a lot of the company, I see the success that you have. I see the success that, especially looking at an artist like Maxo, one of the things that we were hearing as Maxo was rising was how? Like, how's he doing it and how's he doing it here? And you got to attribute a lot of that to people that decide to stay in Houston and develop an industry in Houston. And that takes a lot. Was that always y'all's decision? Like, did you see like, hey, I think there's going to be a market here? Or were you like, we're going to create the market here? Or...
It's been a back and forth. So at one point it was kind of like, you know, maybe we can do it here. And then it was like, okay, no, somebody needs to be in LA. If not one person, two people, but there needs to be somebody needs to be in New York. Like at one point I moved right before the pandemic, I was living in New York. And Toby was living in LA. Ezra was in LA. It was kind of like, we have people here still, but it was kind of, everybody was trying to spread out. But then, you know, during the pandemic, everybody kind of realized, especially just in the music industry, you don't have to be living in New York or LA to get things done. You know, so many people are working remote now. So many, you know, people are living from other places just because it's cheaper, it's more comfortable. They went home or, you know, whatever else it is. But I think all of us, especially kind of realized, well, Toby has kind of always been like, this is such an important place in music, just from history, but just also what we have coming up. We need to have grounds here. Like no matter what, even if there was, you know, we were going to be spending most of the time in LA, there was always going to be grounds in Houston. That's always been super important to him. And he's always kind of made that important to all of us. Like we can't leave the city, you know, like a lot of people become executives somewhere and then, you know, they leave the city and it's like, there's nothing touching like actually in home and keeping the things grounded there. So that's always been big for Toby. Ezra's from Dallas and that's always been big for him too. Basically just like keeping things in Texas. So like, no, we don't have to fly to LA to meet with you. You can fly to Texas to meet with us. And you never know while you're here who you can run across, you know what I'm saying? And that's putting somebody else on. So that's always been a big thing for sure. Like, you know, we do spend the time You know, I've lived in LA, you know, and now I'm back and forth between here and LA. I spend about half the month in LA, half the month here. It's a lot of flying, and it gets very annoying when my clothes are, when I want to wear something and it's in my LA closet and I'm in Houston. But it's worth it because, you know, recording is a lot easier. Like records, it's easier to get done out there because, you know, just everybody's there. So it's good to just go knock whatever it needs to be knocked out and then come back, you know, especially just the feel in Houston is different. LA, that's cute and all, but the food, the friends, the family, just the environment, everything is completely different. And I feel like that being gone from too long, you'll lose like sight of that and you'll lose that touch. So definitely it's important to just, you know, have some roots here at all times for sure.
And there's always like, I think, positives and negatives to everything. We never really get on like the real, we never get into like the Houston, oh, what does Houston need conversation here on the podcast. Mainly because a lot of times we wind up talking to people that have never left Houston. So I was like, it's very hard to say, it's hard to make comparisons when you do not know. Like, you know, like you haven't gone to New York, you haven't gone to Atlanta, you haven't gone to Miami, you haven't gone to Los Angeles, you haven't gone to Toronto. There's nowhere you've really gone, so you're looking from the outside and you're saying, hey, I just think that's better over there, but I don't know. I just know stuff is over there. So for people, and I just said we don't get into that conversation, but now we're about to. So
we're about to, yeah.
when we talk about it, because you like you just said, you've been in New York, you guys move around. What would you say to artists? What advice would you give to artists in terms of what they either feel they may be lacking, or some of the things you might see, hey, like I love you as a Houston artist, that's great, but this is what I do think you are lacking? That might have been a loaded question. I don't
know. Sorry.
I thought that was a scary movie. I thought you should pull it out.
Like, yo,
that shit looks scary as hell.
And I'm like, you see what I'm doing? So honestly, one thing that I would really tell them is, I always tell people like, yeah, I know it's scary to like pick up and just move, but I've never been afraid of that. I've never been afraid of just picking up and just being like, you know what, I hear there's some kind of opportunity in New York, there's some kind of opportunity in LA. Let me just jump up and go. Like, you have to make your connections other places. Like, people underestimate being the person that, okay, so if somebody comes to New York and they come to Houston and they need, you know, help getting into, you know, they just need help. They need somebody to tell them where to go. They need them to introduce them to people. Hey, I need to know the best place to do this. I need a section at the club. Being able to use your connections in your hometown to help somebody else is so great. When you need to go to New York, you want to go to the club, you want to work a record, you never know who that person knows. So it's amazing. It's always amazing to have like those connections and be able to do that. So I always tell people like, yeah, I know you feel like, oh, I don't want to have to go anywhere else to like make this happen. I want to keep it homegrown. But at the end of the day, the people that you think are keeping it homegrown, they have somebody who is out there moving and shaking for them. There's somebody who, you know what I'm saying, has these relationships in other places and it's helping them interact with these different people. Because if you're staying in your same little circle and bubble, and I know people always complain like Houston doesn't support anything until it like pops off and it's big, but I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like the more people look out, you know what I'm saying, and just the bigger you get, the more obviously eyes you're gonna get on you and the more fans you're gonna get. But just to do that, you have to be like very, very intentional in your connections. You don't have to be connected to everybody. It's not just like, oh, you have to be floating around doing whatever, but be intentional with your connections and have them. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know the person that, you know, you made this connection with, and then they come to Houston, they have a great time, and then they go to you go to their city, and they introduce you to somebody who could break a record for you in a major way, and you just never know. Or they could, you know, put you on something, or everybody knows somebody. And there's literally like half a degree of separation with everything. So I just feel like maintaining and coveting relationships is like key. I always tell people this, like that's what's helped me get to where I am and you know, made me an asset in the way that I am, because I'm incredibly great at making relationships and maintaining them, and just they're genuine too. You can't just be trying to force something. You know, if it's genuine, if it doesn't work out, if you and that person don't mesh, don't try to force it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna force it. Doesn't matter who it is, because then at the end of the day, it's not genuine, and other people can read that. But yeah, the genuine relationships, maintaining them, and just coveting them, and don't only hit up somebody when you need something. I hit up people when, hey, I'm just thinking about you. Hey, I just saw this and I thought about you. I don't hit up people just when it's like, oh, I need something. Because I know that's annoying to me. I hate when people I haven't talked to in years hit me up like, hey, can you give me backstage passes to the show? And I'm like, who is this? Because I don't even have like,
no. That's good. There was I worked for somebody a long time ago that was saying, and this is leading to a lot of what you do, because I think you have a effortless, you know what the word I'm trying to say.
Effortless. What is wrong with you today?
I don't know, man.
Two things. Learn how to speak. And Kellyn, if you don't pour up more wine, you have been sipping the last bit of wine for forever.
I don't want to get up. It's like in the wine cooler right there.
I get it. I
can pause this real quick while you go get your wine.
Okay, do that, because I do need some more. So
okay. Now we're back. We're back. You network really easy. You're really great at network. There was a attorney I worked for that was like, hey, when you network, you should really focus on what you can do for the other person. Like, she was like, I don't care what it is. You always go in saying, what can you do for this other person? And I promise you 8 times out of 10, it's going to come back and it's going to help you. Like 2 times out of 10, they're going to screw you over. But whatever, it doesn't matter. So what would you say to people? Because one of the things that I think, I have a number of thoughts about the entertainment industry in Houston, but one of it is this ability to network. Sometimes we'll be sitting next to somebody and we'll be like, do you know him? And he's like, nah, but I like his music. I was like, yeah, because he likes your music too. So how come you two have never talked and y'all are standing 3 feet apart? So that is one of those things too. Like, what would you say about, since you're so great at networking, what would you say about it?
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like it's naturally a gift. I've just always been like that. Both my parents are like that. And they've kind of just always raised me to, it doesn't matter where I am. I always speak to everybody. I speak to everybody. I don't know. I just feel like too, you can't just, like, I feel like a lot of people judge people by what they look like. You just never know. Like, people might say like, oh, she might not be somebody important because she, she wears like sweats every day. But, you don't know what I'm capable of. And I always am hoodie down, like, at all times, and sneakers. Like, that's just what I do. I don't know, but I just feel like, too, people always feel like they have to network up. Networking across is the best thing to do. That is key. I'm telling you, because when it's so much easier for everybody to rise when they're working together. And a lot of times people who, of course, you want to have, your OGs, you want to have a mentor, you want to have people who have done it and are doing it at a higher level than you to kind of give you game and help you out. But a lot of times those people are scared that you're about to come and take their spot, and they are not going to try to help you in any way.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, I have seen with my own 2 eyes. So it's like, networking across is so much easier and just so much better, because then y'all become a force together. It's undeniable. Nobody can say like, oh, these young Houston niggas, they doing it. And I love the fact that like a lot of us are connected with each other. We all do hang out. We all help each other in some kind of way, because it's like, we are literally an undeniable force. Nobody can tell us like we can't do anything, because it's literally like we're locked in,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's dope. Now let's talk too about what a lot of people would be interested in, the rise of Maxo and you guys' work. I mean, you were telling us earlier, like, he's your boss now.
Toby.
Who?
Toby.
There we go. Yeah. I was gonna say Ezra, but Toby brings you Maxo. I guess, but you're pretty much you're not the beginning, but you're very early on, and this rise of Maxo Kream is really big and it's really impressive. What was it about Maxo that just kind of stood out? And then when you're looking at an artist like Maxo, you're like, what are your thoughts on this is what we need to do with him to get him to the next level?
I think one of the things about Maxo is he has undeniable talent. You really can't deny his lyricism, like his charisma. He's fucking hilarious. Like he's one of the funniest people I've ever met. He's just a character. But Maxo is one of those people that he always just keeps good, solid people around him that he can trust. And not just, he doesn't keep around yes men, he keeps around people who are going to tell him straight up and down, like, that's some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So it's never like, and he's a strong opinionated person too. So you can't, if he believes in something and that's just what it is, if that's what he wants it to be, then that's what he wants it to be. But he's always gonna, I've seen as the years have gone on, he's way more receptive to hearing somebody else's point of view and hearing like, look, this is how much bigger this could be. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of people are like, I'm stubborn in my artistry and I don't give a fuck what y'all niggas talking about, and but it's like, you have to listen to the other people around you. And I feel like that's what makes him so successful now, because he realized like everybody here around him had his best interest at heart, and he knew that they were never gonna, like lead him astray. So it's like, okay, you think this is the best way to go? Cool, I'm rocking with it. And now he is where he is, doing great things at RCA and signed to Rock Nation, which is like still so crazy to me. Like I still remember like when he was about to sign to RCA, and like just everybody's being so excited because I love the people over at RCA. I have a bunch of friends who are over there and they're just like amazing people. So yeah, getting a deal at RCA and then the Rock Nation deal was even crazier. Like I remember Toby calling me and being like, nigga, we about to sign Rock Nation. And I was like, huh? Like I picked up his phone one day and he had a text from Jay-Z and I was about to pass out. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, nigga, Jay-Z? He's like, why do you look like this? I'm like, I'm holding his phone. I'm like, Jay-Z just texted you. He's like, oh, okay. I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that's really a lot of people, yeah, just getting out of that stubbornness and being like, I'm the artist, I do what I want type shit. Like, you have to listen to the people around you, and especially if they're, they're good, genuine people and they know what they're doing. That you're in good hands.
That's good.
Now, I know you don't like really talking about yourself, and you stay real quiet. Are you coming out of that? Or are you like, I don't like people knowing all this stuff?
I'm coming out of that. Shout out to the Clubhouse, because I'm just not a person who just likes to do a lot of talking. Like, unless it's my friends, yeah, but you'll be in a room with me and just like not even know I'm there because I'm just not saying much. But Clubhouse made me voice my opinion, like voice myself more and tell people what I thought and what I do, because I know a lot of people around me were making deals off that shit. I made deals off that shit. Like I got a partnership doing influencer marketing campaigns for a major label because of Clubhouse. Like I definitely speak up more, and it's so crazy. I feel like I just had a conversation with Yaya last week. We were sitting down, I think eating dinner or something. We were just talking about how like we feel like so much shit slips past us because we don't speak up. Of course the people who know bring things to us, but the people who don't, it's like we could be making, getting so much more business. So like together and individually. So we're like, okay, we definitely should just start talking about what we do a little more. Obviously, just like talking about it all the time is not us, but at least a little more in some, in certain capacities. So like, and as like I said, in the last like week, like a lot of people have been hitting me up to do podcasts, like networks asking me to be involved in like Women's Month stuff. And I'm just like, that's so crazy because I don't say anything. I barely post on social media to begin with. Yeah, like I don't, but I mean.
Yeah, researching you is like trying to find puzzle pieces.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I've always loved it like that, because people like all the time people are like, I have to ask you this question, like, but what do you do? They're like, I know everybody knows you, everybody's like good people and like you work hard, but everybody's like, yeah, nobody can like, what'd you say?
People speak highly of you.
Thank you. I like to do it that way, but yeah, people are always like, I don't know what the fuck to do, and I'm like, well, I because it just feels like a task explaining it all. It's not like a simple thing like, oh, I'm in marketing. oh, I'm a publicist, oh, I'm this, I'm that. It's kind of like, well, do you want me to unroll this scroll with all this shit that I do on it, and we'll be talking for the next 30 minutes trying to explain to you like who I am, but
well,
yeah, no, you said what?
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I realized that I just had to start speaking out more just because I felt like it was just going to get me further. Which, I mean, it's been working pretty well for me so far, so I might just get a little louder. You never know.
Well, that's good, because when Clubhouse launched, I mean, I would be on listening. He is definitely on a lot, like way more than me. So he was, but Clubhouse Clubhouse conversations can get circular after a while, especially in the beginning. And there were multiple times where people were asking a question, and they would literally be like, "Oh, somebody should have asked Kellyn, or somebody should ask Yaya," and I was like, "Why are?" You know what I mean? And then sometimes I would see you in the room and you weren't talking. And I was just like, I'm just waiting to see what she's going to say. Because there, like 8 people have talked and said the same thing over and over again. I said, we're just sitting here waiting. So it's great that you're getting out there and, you know, letting people know. Plus, it's good for people to see what you're doing.
Yeah, I feel like the thing with Clubhouse, I was super invested in it at the beginning because it was kind of like, just with quarantine, like I said, I'm always like, I'm at All-Star weekends, I'm at Grammy weekends, I'm at festivals and all that stuff. So it's like the people that, my friends in entertainment that I normally get to see all the time, haven't seen each other in months, almost a year. So it's like getting on Clubhouse, getting to be back in those rooms, it literally felt like Grammy weekend all the time. You know, just getting to have these conversations with people that I admire and, you know, are my friends, and they're doing great things in the music industry, and just kind of getting to hear them tell stories, you know, like stuff that they normally just wouldn't talk about, but it's like we're all in this room, and at that point, you know, it wasn't a lot of people on, so it's like, okay, it's just us, we can talk about these things. We can kind of bounce a lot of ideas off each other, get work, get business. And then it got to the point where it's just a bunch of people on there capping each other down and talking about shit that they don't know about. And I think that, like, in a lot of conversations, I kind of would just like not want to say anything because I'm like, I don't want to be put in with this group of people who are literally just talking out of their ass. Like, I can't. And then I've had times where somebody has been like, "Oh, Kellyn, what do you think?" And I've tried to say it, and then somebody's like, "Well, I think this, da da da." But then I look at their bio and it says they like work at Popeyes, and I'm like, I don't. What's
you know about marketing? You work
I've been in those rooms where I'd be like, "You said something," and somebody said the opposite, and I'm like, "Why? What?"
Like, people have never done this professionally at all, and I'm just like, okay. And I think a lot of people did not think that I did until, like, it's so funny. A lot of people in Houston did not know who I was like associated with, like music wise, until Clubhouse. And people were like, "Oh, I didn't know you know so and so." Like, I've been like, "Yeah, we've been really cool. I've known them for like years." Like, but I don't know that.
What do you think the perception was before all this? Like, people literally just thought you was just living, just.
Yeah, people literally thought like I had no job. Like, the people who know me know, you know, or people who knew me when I worked in radio, I would be like out at stuff, and I worked at 93.7, so I would have like the stuff on. Yeah. So people like then, but ever since then, I just, unless I knew you and I talked to you about it, you wouldn't know. So people literally thought I was just like kicking it at the club and like as shit. They were like, show, like, like they're like, how are you backstage at every show? Like, why are you at the club like 6 days out of the week with a different DJ? And it's like, because I'm pushing a record, like, or they're my homie who's here from out of town, and they, you know, they like are like, of course, when people come in town, they're like, "Hey, I'm in your city, link up." I'm like, good. So and especially like people who just don't have a grasp of like entertainment at all, they don't. It's very hard to explain it.
Yeah.
They just like fucking around all day, and you're like, no, that's not it. Yeah, for sure.
Is it hard to find? I'm not gonna say is it hard. Do you still like going? Once you start getting a job where you're like in entertainment, where it's like, I mean, I don't care what it is, any form of entertainment where you're around areas where people go to have fun, but you're there to work. Do you still do you enjoy going there just regularly, or do you still think of it as like, I gotta go to work? Like,
I get separated, but I'm always thinking about work. You know, I could be in the club in God knows where, and you know, like a Maxo record comes on, and I'm like, let me get my phone real quick, or let me figure out who this DJ is. You know, I'm like thinking about that kind of at all times. But you know, I never know. That one thing that's never gonna stop around here is the fun. Okay, I like to drink. I like to listen to music. I like to be out. Like, I like to be turned up. So yeah, that's never gonna stop ever.
That's perfect. So you got the perfect job.
Yeah, no, I really do. Like, I would never be doing anything else. Like, I couldn't even imagine doing something else, because at times it does get exhausting, and also it's kind of hard to separate, like, okay, this is me just out having fun with my friends, and this is like working, you know, kind of, it can get kind of entangled, especially because a lot of my friends are in entertainment, like the majority. So it can get hard for all of us, but it's so funny because I get like, you know, most of my friends are managers or publicists or, you know, like brand marketers or social media people. So it's like, we'll be in the club and one of our artists stuff will come on. We'll be like, oh girl, you need to record this and tilt it like this and post this. And we're all in there strategizing together, but like passing the bottle around a bottle in 1942 and taking shots at the same time. Like, my friends are definitely, yeah, they get it. Like, they get it because they're in the same boat. So we all just kind of like, you know, we're always looking out for each other.
That's dope. So, I mean, we're at that point now where we just ask, like, what do you have on the horizon? Like, if you can tell us, like, any projects you have coming out. With an artist, it's
any particular artist.
You got an album coming out or something like that. But with you, it's just like, you know,
yeah. I am definitely working on a few things. Like I said, Yaya and I both, since we have decided that we're going to be a little more vocal about what we do, you know, we have kind of, you know, she just had her South by Southwest showcase. Shout out to Yaya. She single-handedly produced the first regional Mexican music showcase ever in South by Southwest history. And she did it during the snowstorm, and it was like very like critically acclaimed. So shout out to Yaya.
Yeah, it was dope.
Yeah, amazing. Like, she was stressed the hell out during the whole time. Like, because like I said, the snowstorm, she lost the power. Like, the snowstorm happened when like people were supposed to be flying in, and it was just all kind of chaos. But she pulled it together. You know, I lended a hand here and there, but for the most part, like, that was literally all her, and she killed it. It was incredible. My whole family like sat and watched it. Like, it was like I did it. We were all so excited. But yeah, no, I think me and her definitely have some things on the horizon, especially once things are more like, you can have events now, but it's kind of frowned upon. And also from like a sponsor standpoint, it's kind of like, okay, you're gonna, even though you're in Houston, people don't get that, and you're in a room full of people unmasked, like, you know, with our label everywhere recording shit, and they're like, that looks crazy. So definitely once you know, things are a little more open, I'm getting my vaccine tomorrow, so shout out to that.
Which one you get?
I'm getting Pfizer, boys.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, the Pfizer.
I got Pfizer.
Okay,
I understand.
We do elite shit only over here. Pfizer is the vaccine. Okay.
Pfizer the elite one. I got Moderna.
Moderna's supposed to be like the.
It's a little bit below. What about like, Johnson & Johnson? They got the white shot.
Well, Pfizer is Beyonce and Moderna's Kellyn.
Oh, well, I like Kellyn.
We're not going to take Kelly.
I like Kellyn. I like Kellyn.
Don't talk about her.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a big fan.
I love Kellyn. Look, she was my brown skin, like when I was growing up. So, you know, that, yes. But basically, that was a good.
You told us that was a good.
The Kellyn rolling the vaccines. I'm fine with that. I'm fine. That's great. That's
I'm getting Pfizer tomorrow. But definitely once things are just, you know, a little more normal, Yaya and I for sure gonna, you know, kind of do stuff. Because I'm also too one of those people that I'm like, I don't know, I just get really weird about doing things by myself too. Because I'm like, dang, is anybody gonna show up? Like, are people gonna care? Like, that I'm throwing a brunch? Like, I don't understand. But yeah, I'm always pleasantly surprised. But yeah, I just, you know, prefer, especially like to do it with somebody that I love and like respect and, you know, we like trust wholeheartedly. Like we have so much brain trust. Like I know that she's never gonna lead me astray ever. So it's definitely like good to do stuff with somebody like that.
And I definitely feel like, I mean, maybe it was being at this concert that I was like, okay, things are kind of getting back to normal. Like, this is at least a start towards something where I don't think there's necessarily going to be the stigma. I mean, I write and cover concerts, and I've definitely done things where people have gotten in my DMs like, "You're out," and I'm like, "Yeah, now to work." You know what I mean? And this last concert, I didn't get that. I didn't get people like, "Are you outside?" I was like, "Yeah, I went to a concert. It was socially distant still."
Yeah, perfectly.
I think once New York and LA got to the point where they were allowing stuff indoors, that's when kind of everything took the turn. Because it's been about a week, 2 weeks now that both of them are like allowing indoor stuff.
Yeah.
So which I was great because I was in LA like eating dinner in a skirt in like 6-degree weather, shivering under like a heater, and I'm like, okay, I really love to. Yeah, I know, like it was really annoying. I'm like, I would really love to sit inside right now, but okay. And then right before I flew back to Houston last time, my homegirl and I went to dinner, and they were like, "We can sit you inside," and I almost passed out. So
almost passed out.
Like, why would I be excited to eat indoors like I'm a caveman? But like, okay. But yeah, no, I just think and I've heard some like rumblings about people being able to do in California and I think New York as well, indoor shows, like super spaced out indoor shows as early as next month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I know.
Yeah, because it's hard for Houstonians to relate because, you know.
We've been balling for respect the whole time, yeah.
Well, like, the only thing I was saying about us was our venues were closed. Like, you couldn't do anything at the House of Blues or White Oak or stuff like that, but everything else was...
But there's a concert, like there's a whole full-blown concert tonight at Grooves.
I just saw that, yes. And I was like, oh, okay. I did a story on Grooves, and they were like, I know they are happy to be open.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, I just, no, being at shows is like my thing. Like that is like my favorite hobby. I love shows. I just love to hear like live music. So I'm super, super excited that that's kind of just becoming a thing again. And I've like sneak hit my booking agent homies and I'd be like, have you heard anything? They kind of throw me little hints just to keep me, alive. And I'm like, okay, all right. I know that, some things could be coming up. So I'm excited.
Well, no, that's super dope. Look, we appreciate you coming out, and I know you got something horizon that you don't tell us yet. That it might be a secret. Who knows? Like a Jay-Z Maxo Kream album. I don't know.
You never know, man.
You never know. You never know.
Until it pops out on you.
Well, look, we appreciate having you on. And wait, do you want to let people know where to find you, or are you still like?
No, they can definitely know where to find me, even though I don't really post that much. I've been kind of trying to do that more too. I've been posting like every 2 months now instead of 6. So we're getting there.
Yeah, your last posts were months apart. I was like,
yeah, no, it's terrible. I'm so bad. But no, I really have been trying to get better. So you can find me at Kellyn Diane, KELLYN DYANN. If you normally just type in Kellyn, it pops up because there's not that many of them. And I'm also the greatest one. So, there's that. I'm that on Instagram and Twitter and Clubhouse and everything else you can probably think of. TikTok. I don't know. I don't post anything on there, but that too. I'm also I'm like everything. I'm super easy to reach if you have any questions, if you're trying to do any collaborations. If there's anything, you can email me, kellyndiane@gmail.com. Yeah, hit me up on social media. I'm usually super responsive. I look at everything. So yeah, hit me up. I'm here.
That's perfect.
That's perfect, man. We want to thank you once again, Kellyn.
Yeah.
Kellyn
Diane. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Now I'm actually about to go pick up a bunch of cacti and go meet Yaya and Chase and everybody at dinner. We're about to go drink and eat and hang out and brainstorm some shit. So yeah, I will definitely tell Yaya you guys said hello.
Cacti.
Thank you. And
the new drink that Travis and Chase just came out with.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a party yesterday actually for it, but yeah, it's like that's literally all we drink now. We've been even though we were drinking for like the last like month and a half, like we still act like because it just came out last Monday in the store, so we've been acting like it just like is a brand new thing to us. So yeah, so like we're going to a restaurant and somebody was like, so, "Is everybody bringing a case of cacti?" So we're about to be just drinking it in a restaurant. I don't know, but it works. We just
it took me a second because I was literally thinking actual cacti.
Like, no, the drink.
And I was like, oh no, the drink. Okay.
Yeah, no, the drink for sure.
Okay, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
Once again, man, that was Kellyn. She came through with us on In My Humble Opinion podcast. Talked about a myriad of things. We got to get out of here. There's one. The next time we interview her, I gotta find out about Reggie Haynes Jr. Reggie Hayes Jr. Oh my God. You said what?
Reggie Helms Jr.
Helms. How'd I just mess that up? He's amazing.
My favorite, yes. He's my baby. I love him.
He's amazing.
Next time I'm back, we can talk about everything.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But it's been In My Humble Opinion podcast, where the opinions are humbled and the words aren't jumbled. I've been Avery, like a very nice guy. And also my brother, Jess Devon.
Oh, wait.
That's it?
It took me a second. I'm new. It took,
New. We've been doing Zoom for a while, but that is what it is. Humbly yours, In My Humble Opinion podcast. H sounds too sweet. See you later.